Hello, welcome to the channel. Today FullSizeFord is turning into pint-size-Ford. I know we promised we were never going to show this car on the channel again because this was like our worst performing video of all time. But this car needs a clutch, and Kale really wants to include this content on the channel. So we're going to oblige. We're going to give the Sportscort one more shot. I mean, hey, it's a cool car. It's got a 5-speed manual. It's kind of an icon of the 80s and 90s. You saw these things everywhere. Now you just don't see them that much anymore. So, humorous. Let's get a clutch in this thing. And again, we'll give this Escort one more shot. One more shot at glory. So as you can see, this baby's got the 1.9 liter SEFI Tower of Power. You know, it's actually kind of a fun car to drive. I know people don't consider it a sports car, but it is kind of sporty. It does have a spoiler. I don't know, maybe one of these days we throw a big old turbo on this thing and see what happens.
eBay turbo.
There you go. eBay turbo it is. But for now, let's just fix it so it can be driven and be reliable. All right, so preliminary look at the slave cylinder down here. Go ahead and depress it in and out, Cole. It appears to be working. So I don't think it's just a slave cylinder issue. I think the clutch disc is just actually smoked. This car has about 100,000 miles on it. Original for a 93, it's really good. So I'm thinking that this is going to be more than just a slave cylinder. So let's start with getting some stuff out of the way. Let's get this air intake tube out of the way so we can see what we got going on down underneath here. This can't be near as bad as the old Fusion clutch that we did, transmission. That we got to use twice because somebody put the clutch disc in backwards.
Mm-hmm. Somebody is you.
Yeah, it was me, wasn't it? So I'm thinking I'm just going to unbolt this I'm just going to unbolt the slave cylinder. I would much rather be working on a FE 390 right now. Why do they put a bolt and then engineer a hydraulic hard line to go right in front of the bolt? Why do they do that? Just to see me suffer? I think the easiest thing to do is just going to be to pull the battery and everything out of it. Let's just pull the battery and the tray. We got room to get in there. And then we can get all these top brackets off. And then we'll go. From there, we'll raise the car up. We'll get underneath. All right, so Kale's getting the battery out of it. It's got the Napa Pro former. Once we get the battery out and stuff, we'll have a lot more room to get to those brackets and everything that are underneath it. All right, so with the battery and the tray out of the way, we've got a lot better access to the top of the transmission here. We're just gonna work on pulling the nuts off these this bracket bolts right here. And there's this bracket where the hydraulic line for the clutch, the hard line bolts on. We'll get that off. See if we can get some of these electrical connectors from the top. Then we can get to the bottom, start working on that. So we're getting there. We're getting our connectors disconnected here. We're getting now I'm gonna pull the speedometer cable.
Look at that back
And I'm gonna do it the cheaty way. Lots of extensions. All right.
That should do that. I think we're going to be pretty close to going underneath and starting under there.
All right, so I think we've got pretty much everything off the top that we need to get until we get it up in the air and find out the 16 things from the top that we missed. Right?
Right.
Okay. Let's get the Escort in the air.
Transformation to race car commencing. All right, let's see what we got.
Strip some things. Supposedly.
Looks like all those bushings come with it.
There it goes.
Yep. All right. That exposes our mount there, which looks like we're going to need to get that off too, because we got to get it around this. All right. So we're making some progress on the old Sportscort. They got the axles pulled out there. We've still got to get this shift linkage off. This is going to be a little bit more challenging clutch than I thought. Hopefully we have these axles far enough. We've got them separated from the transmission. We loosened the lower, took the ball joints out of the knuckles right here. So hopefully we can pull these just back far enough to where we don't have to just yank all the axles out of the car, because these nuts look pretty rusty and I don't really want to deal with that. So I think we're going to call it a night for tonight. This catalytic converter here is ingeniously placed right in front of one of the bolts that goes into the transmission here. Some of the bolts go in the traditional way like this, and then some of the bolts go the other way. And this is right in front of one of the bolts that goes in from the engine side. So we're gonna have to get this out of the way. The EGR tube is completely rusted. Probably gonna have to use a little heat and persuasion. Again, it's past midnight tonight. Everybody's pretty burnt, tired, so we're gonna go home, go to bed. Be back tomorrow evening to revisit this. All right, so day 2 on the Sportscort. Unfortunately, we realized that this exhaust has to be removed. We're gonna try to get it out of there without ruining it. So hopefully we don't have to spend any more money on this car. So the EGR tube is frozen to the crossover. So right here, that doesn't look like it's gonna move. That pretty much looks like it's been lying in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean with the Titanic. So we're going to try to remove the EGR up at the top and see if we can just drop this whole pipe down.
It's on there now.
All right. Okay, there, I got it. I think I got it going down past that hose. I think it's gonna work.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Oh, look at that.
I think it's gonna work.
It's gonna work.
Woohoo! So now
them up there.
Oh, that's an athlete.
Oh, I probably got a good 3 inches of vertical leap right there. Did you see that?
I really
I
thought.
feel like you were saying that in like a
No,
non-complimentary way.
I really thought I was seeing like prime Larry Bird right
Probably
there.
gonna take it, yeah.
So now what I want to determine is when we do get these loose, is this,
Just gonna fall.
well, is the axle situation that we have going to hinder us?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Yes.
I was just waiting for the knot at the end of that and it didn't come. You just left me hanging.
You can see right there, the transmission goes over the top of the axle end.
So I wonder if we pull this out, if we can get this axle to drop down out of here. And just get out of the way. Like that. Yeah. You think that'll work?
I won't do it.
Okay. So this bolt is just about out. Okay, careful. Clutch sleeve off of it. Okay.
You got it? Yep.
All right.
Wow. It's mine.
Oh my gosh, Cole. Watch out, don't trip. Yeah, set it on the workbench.
It's not that heavy.
Not really.
We very over anticipated it.
So it's lighter than the Fusions?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Here it comes.
Lightage.
Let's see what you did to this clutch disc, Kale. There it is. Look how shiny and glazed that baby is.
Oh boy.
You can see the tiny little heat fissures on this. That is a massive clutch right there. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
That is huge. Clutch disc is off. That flywheel looks really, really shiny. These can be reused. You actually do want to resurface them if you're going to reuse them. Which we could probably do on the lathe right there, but when Kale bought the car, it actually came with a clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel, and new slave cylinder, so we are going to just replace all of it. And we got 6 bolts to pay dirt here to have the flywheel off, and then we get to start reassembly. Okay, so it looks like the pilot bearing is just in pieces in here, so I think we're gonna end up just fishing that out with a magnet. Maybe the race is still in there? Yeah, we got chunkage of pilot bearing, Kale. What have you been doing to this car?
Racing.
Yeah, I figured.
Only when I drove it back.
I don't win much.
The last thing of disassembly, we need to get this. The pilot bearing was absolutely destroyed in there. A few needles laying in there. We just have this race stuck in here. So I'm going to use this Dremel hopefully to thin it enough to where I can just break it out of there. And then we can actually start reassembling the new flex plate. Probably could put a new main seal on this while we have it apart.
Flywheel,
But
not
it-
flex plate.
Doesn't. Sorry, Cole. Not using the correct terminology.
Yes.
But this one doesn't appear that it's really leaking, so we're gonna go ahead and put the whole transmission back in so it can start leaking 5,000 miles from now, and then wish we would have done it. Sound like a plan?
Sure.
All right, cool. That's what I'm thinking. So I wedged a punch in here to keep this thing fixed to see if I can just get it to grip just enough to yank this thing out of here. A little bit more yet. A couple more hits, I think it's gonna be out of there. Oh yeah, she's coming now. She's coming now. Pay dirt. Woohoo! It's out. So while we're here, Junior picked up the rear man seal over at O'Reilly's. Happen to have one in stock. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in. Felpro BS 40158 if you're doing this at home. So, great. Now we got more work to do. All right. Okay, so we popped those 4 bolts off. Work it off of there. There it is.
Doesn't look too bad, actually.
No, it's pretty good. And then there's the
old gasket.
So basically you've just got this retainer that's held on by 4 bolts that has the rear main in it. And then there's this gasket here. So it looks like we just need to clean this up, get a new seal in this. All right, so that's pretty much gonna wrap up day 2. Tomorrow night, we're gonna reinstall our rear main, install our pressure plate, clutch, flywheel, and put the transmission back in. And then it's just all the loose little nicky-nacky stuff, and hopefully this thing will be back on the road. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, day 3 on the Sportscort. And hopefully the last day. So we are completely ready for reassembly. Reassembly of the main seal, pressure plate, or flywheel, pressure plate, clutch, all that. Transmission back up in, hook up all the little doodads. Sounds like it should take us about 15 minutes. This is a Blues Riff in G. Watch me for the changes, try to keep up. Let's go. So we just put a light coating, just a very light coating just to hold that gasket in place of RTV. We're gonna put a little bit of motor oil around the crankshaft and then around the inside lip of the seal. And then we can get the rear main seal back on there. Like I say, it wasn't really leaking, but since we had it out, we thought it'd probably be a good idea to replace it. So part of this seal's on the oil pan gasket around here, but on these lips here, we're gonna run a bead of silicone.
Hold on,
so
let
it
me
seals to the lip
get the
of
inside of the seal.
Okay. Light coating of oil on the inside of the seal. Just run a little bead of silicone right there. And now we should be able to install, we got our 4 little bolts. What was the torque spec on that, Cole? So it was 18?
15 to 22,
So,
I guess.
okay.
That's like a guess, but
Okay.
it's the closest thing we got.
Takes very steady hands.
I don't think any of us.
It's like the
have
game
those.
Operation.
Terrible, terrible at that game.
I was really bad.
Me
at that
too.
game.
Okay, we torqued.
We torqued.
All right, what's our next step, Kale?
Flywheel.
You got it. Shh. And basically we're just snugging them up right now, and then we'll do our torque with the, all right, torquing pressure plate bolts to 20 foot-pounds. Was that poetry in motion?
This slave cylinder is really annoying.
Oh, steady hands.
No, it's not. Torqued.
All 6?
6.
Okay. So we need to put a new throwout bearing on this. This is just going to slide in on there, and then this should pop on this ball like that. What do you think? Okay, you don't have to.
I got it.
You don't have to eat it. Okay. Careful. Watch the wires over there. See if we can get that shaft to line up. Try to go straight on if we can.
I heard it.
Lift the back up. All right, so transmission's back in the car, cross member's under, engine is now supported and transmission supported by its own cross member. Now it's just a matter of hooking stuff back up, torquing, getting these axles back into the transaxle, hooking up these lower ball joint pinch bolts, torquing stuff down, exhaust back on, and we could be driving this thing tonight. Torque those pinch bolts down, get this exhaust back on, then we can get it set back on the ground. There we go. Here's the gasket for Cole's end. No.
Or if you go like up.
There, yep, like that.
Gotta get this gas.
Yeah, I got enough bolts to go through it though. Or is it 14 or is it 13?
I tried at 13 and probably no. This one was getting rounder when you took it off.
Well, that will conclude day 3. They're so close. But the ignition was on, and Kale hooked the battery back up, and it blew the main fuse. So we're going to have to source one of those tomorrow from hopefully O'Reilly's or Napa. And that should get the car running again, because now we've got everything hooked up, we got no power. So hopefully day 4 is a success. The clutch pedal doesn't feel great. Like I say, the car came with the clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, the slave cylinder, which you see down here, which we replaced, but it did not come with the master cylinder for the clutch. So hopefully we don't have a bad one of those. So once we get it running, we'll find out. All right, so day 4. Thought we might have driven this out of here last night on day 3, but I gave Kale some really bad advice and told him to turn the battery around because I thought he was putting it in backwards. And turns out he wasn't putting it in backwards. And when hooking it up, blew this main fuse. So we got a new one today. Battery turned around and oriented correctly.
No radio, but it's power. Want me to start it?
Is it in neutral?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's fire it up. Fire in the hole. There she is. Well, she still runs anyway. Because the computer has been unhooked. It's got to relearn itself. It'll come down. The aftermarket radio, right? The radio will have its own fuse on it too. Yes. So you'll have to So it depends on how they wired it. You push in the clutch, so the clutch you put it in first gear. Start to cut out the clutch a little bit. Still normal? No? Or crappy?
It's kind of like dead quiet, dead.
Shut her down. Let's start checking fuses.
Probably have one more.
All right, so yes, the battery is back out. Taking note of proper orientation, of course. After getting the car all back together, everything can be working properly, but the clutch pedal just does not feel very good. So we headed up to our local O'Reilly's Auto Parts, picked up this power torque. So, picked up this new clutch master cylinder. We're going to install this, bleed it, and hopefully we will be on to better clutching. Basically, with the clutch on the floor, the second you start to move away from the clutch was engaged. And I couldn't get very strong fluid out of there. I power bled it and could get a steady stream with a pressure bleeder, but pumping it with the pedal, I could get just a dribble. So I'm thinking that cylinder was bad. We're gonna get this one installed and this will tell us right away. Thank you to O'Reilly's Auto Parts for having this in stock. Saving our bacon. So there's the new clutch master cylinder unit installed. Now we've just got to bleed it. I'm going to put a pressure bleeder on it. This actually does fill out of the same reservoir as the master cylinder. Just has a hose that runs down to the slave. And see if we've got ourselves a decent clutch pedal. As you can see, our bleeding apparatus is hooked up to the master cylinder, and now we are going to basically just push fluid through. Make sure there's no air in the system, and then hopefully we've got a good clutch pedal. Alright, so we open the valve on the unit. I should have pressure now being applied to the cylinder. Alright, first test drive, Sportscort with the new clutch, slave cylinder, master cylinder, flywheel, pressure plate, all is new. The question is, will it be able to hold all 88 horsepower? How's it feel?
Loose, actually. The pedal still feels loose.
I don't know what you mean by loose.
You have to feel it.
Maybe it was just getting, maybe that's how it's supposed to be, but it was just feeling wonky because the stuff was bad.
Maybe.
Does it seem to be functional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Functional.
Why is there smoke coming up out of the hood?
Brake fluid burning. Access.
Is it just like normal steam wear off? I don't know. All right. So the smoke was just a little residual brake fluid just burning off where the bleeder's right next to the catalytic converter on the front of the motor. So no harm, no foul there. That'll burn off. So that's going to conclude it for this episode of Full Size Ford, or in this case, Pint Size Ford, as the little Escort that could, or what we like to call the Sportscort, is up and running again. We've got some more big Ford stuff coming. Again, we really appreciate everybody's support. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you get notified when new stuff is posted. We try to get a video posted every week. In the meantime, keep those big and the pint-sized Fords rolling. Have a good night. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.